Ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to give me just 10 minutes of your life, I promise to give you something back. A seed, a spark, a wake-up call. Because sometimes all it takes is 10 minutes to see your entire life differently. Let me start with a truth that most people avoid. Your life doesn't get better by chance. It gets better by change. If you're sitting around waiting for a lucky break, you're not in line for success. You're in line for disappointment. Change doesn't knock, it must be invited. And success, it doesn't show up, it must be built brick by brick with your own two hands. Now, here's something I learned the hard way. You can't hire someone to do your push-ups. No one is going to read the books for you. No one will make the calls, do the work, build the habits, or face your fears. That's your job. And once you accept that responsibility, you unlock the door to real freedom. Let me ask you a question. What do you want? Not what you kind of want. Not what would be nice. I mean, what do you really want? And then, more importantly, what are you willing to trade for it? Because life trades in value. You want success, trade in discipline. You want health, trade in your excuses. You want peace of mind, trade in the late nights and chaos for clarity and priorities. People say, I'll start when I'm ready. No, you won't. You don't get ready and then start. You start and then you get ready. Success is messy in the beginning. You'll stumble. You'll doubt yourself. But if you keep showing up, something incredible happens. You grow. And with that growth comes power. Not over others, but over yourself. Let me give you the key. Don't major in minor things. Some folks spend hours perfecting their playlist or arguing online, but they haven't spent 10 minutes designing a better life. Don't get caught polishing a car that's not even headed in the right direction. Check your direction before you worry about your speed. You want an eye-opener. Here it is. You are the author of the next chapter. And if the last one was messy, good. That means the comeback story is going to be better. But you've got to pick up the pen. Don't wait for motivation. Create momentum. Action breeds motivation. Start small, but start now. 10 minutes won't change your life. But what you do with what you learn in these 10 minutes can. So ask yourself, are you going to just hear these words, or are you going to use them? Because the clock is ticking and your future is listening. Change doesn't simply arrive at your doorstep like a surprise package. It doesn't creep in quietly while you sleep or drift in on a breeze of hope. Real meaningful change is something you must choose, pursue, and create deliberately. Too many people are sitting around waiting for life to get better, as if improvement is a matter of weather patterns or winning a lottery. But life doesn't get better just because time passes. It gets better because you take the wheel and steer it that way. The truth is, people often confuse movement with progress. They confuse activity with productivity. They say things like, I'm trying, but effort without intention is just noise waking up each day. And doing the same thing that isn't working doesn't count as growth. It counts as repetition. Change is not a matter of doing more, it's a matter of doing differently on purpose. Change begins when you acknowledge that your current results are tied directly to your current behaviors, habits, and mindset. If you want something new, something different, something better, you must do what you haven't done. That means discomfort. That means getting honest with yourself. It means looking in the mirror and saying, if I keep doing what I've been doing, I'm going to keep getting what I've been getting. And for many people, that's the most uncomfortable truth of all. You can. Most people don't resist change because they don't want better. They resist it because change costs something. It costs familiarity. It costs comfort. It costs the illusion of control that comes from staying inside your current routine. People say, I'm stuck, when in reality, they're not stuck. They're just unwilling to pay the price of change. But make no mistake, you're always paying a price. Either the price of discipline today or the price of regret tomorrow. One hurts for a little while. The other lingers for a lifetime. If you study anyone who's achieved significant growth, whether in business, health, relationships, or mindset, you'll find a common thread. They decided to change, not hoped, not wished. Decided. That decision was often followed by fear, resistance, and setbacks, but they stayed with it. Because when change is intentional, it can survive discouragement, it can survive discomfort. But if it's based on impulse or mood, it fades fast. Intentional change isn't about how you feel, it's about what you've decided to become. Now, Deciding to change doesn't mean flipping your entire life upside down overnight. It means beginning to turn the wheel, even slightly. Small adjustments in direction lead to massive differences in destination over time. A 1% improvement every day may seem small, but compounded over months and years, it transforms your life. That's the power of deliberate, focused action. That's the power of deciding who you want to be and doing something about it every single day. When change is accidental, when it's left to chance, you drift. You hope for better without doing anything different. You read the book, but don't apply the lesson. You hear the talk, but don't take the action. And then you wonder why nothing feels different, why nothing looks different. But when you live with intention, you stop drifting and start directing. You wake up with purpose. You go to bed with clarity. You stop being a passenger in your life and become the driver. It doesn't take a miracle to change. It takes a decision, a commitment, a willingness to pay the price now so you can live with the rewards later. When you embrace that truth, not just hear it, but live it, then change stops being a wish and starts being your reality. There comes a moment in every person's life when they have to face the mirror and realize that no one is coming to save them. No one is going to do the work, fight the battles, or carry the weight that is theirs to carry. That moment, when you stop blaming, stop waiting, and stop making excuses, is the beginning of real change. Personal responsibility isn't a suggestion or a nice idea. It's non-negotiable. It's the foundation upon which every lasting success is built. Too many people go through life pointing fingers. It's the economy, it's their parents, it's the boss, it's the government, it's bad luck. But as long as you keep giving away your responsibility, you keep giving away your power. And when you give away your power, you become a victim of circumstance rather than a creator of your future. It doesn't mean those external factors don't exist. They absolutely do. But the question isn't whether life has been unfair. The question is what you're going to do about it. The truth is you can't control everything, but you can always control your response. You can control your attitude, your decisions, your habits, your discipline, and your standards. You get to choose how you show up. And that choice matters more than anything else, because success is never an accident. It's always the result of consistently making the right choices, especially when it's hard. Responsibility isn't about blame, it's about ownership. It's the moment when you stop saying, this happened to me, and start saying, this is what I'm going to do with it. No one can do your push-ups for you. No one can build your business, fix your mindset, or change your life but you. You can have mentors, you can have tools, you can have opportunities, but unless you act, nothing changes. Responsibility means you don't wait for perfect timing. You take action now. You don't need all the answers. You start with what you have. You don't need applause. You show up whether anyone's watching or not. Because you're not doing it for them. You're doing it because you made a decision that your future is worth it. There's a kind of freedom that comes when you accept full responsibility. Suddenly, you're not waiting on anyone else to open doors for you. You start knocking. You start building your own doors. You realize that your results are in your hands, and that's not pressure. That's power. It means if you want better, you can create better. If you want more, you can become more. It doesn't happen overnight, but it begins the moment you say, I'm done blaming, I'm done waiting, I'm done hoping, I'm ready to take charge. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or resources. They fail because they lack responsibility. They want the rewards without the work. They want the change without the challenge. But life doesn't work like that. You don't get what you want. You get what you're willing to earn. And you earn it by showing up consistently, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. Responsibility is showing up on the days when motivation is gone. It's doing what needs to be done when no one else is clapping for you. It's holding yourself to a higher standard. Not because someone else told you to, but because you've decided that's who you are. It's not glamorous. It's not easy. But it's the only path that leads to the kind of life most people only dream about. When you live with that level of ownership, everything changes. You start building. You stop making excuses. You start making moves. And day by day, with every decision, you become the kind of person who doesn't need a guarantee. because you become the guarantee. You're not just hoping for a better life. You're creating it one responsible choice at a time. Most people say they want success, happiness, or fulfillment, but when you ask them to define it, they struggle. They speak in vague terms, general wishes, or borrowed goals from someone else's life. But if you don't know exactly what you want, how will you know where to go? How will you measure progress? How will you stay committed when the path gets hard? Clarity of desire is not just helpful, it's essential. Without it, you're running on a treadmill, burning energy, but going nowhere. You must get brutally honest with yourself about what you truly want. Not what sounds good, not what others expect, and not what's popular on social media. What you want. That level of clarity requires silence, reflection, and sometimes the courage to admit things you've been avoiding. It might mean letting go of dreams that no longer fit or stepping into a vision that scares you. But clarity always precedes achievement. You can't hit a target you haven't defined. Once you're clear about what you want, the next question is just as important. What are you willing to give up for it? Because everything comes with a price. Every desire carries a cost. You can't have six-pack abs and skip the gym. You can't build a business and binge. Watch your evenings away. You can't be deeply present with your family while checking work emails every 5 minutes. There is always a trade-off, and clarity demands you acknowledge it up front. Too often, people try to chase two contradictory goals at once. They want freedom, but they crave comfort. They want growth, but avoid discomfort. They want wealth, but reject risk. This inner conflict creates frustration and stalls progress. But when you're truly clear on your desire, the sacrifices start to make sense. They stop feeling like punishment and start feeling like investment. Going to the gym at 5 a.m. isn't suffering when you're chasing a vision of strength. Turning down short-term pleasures becomes easier when you're focused on long-term fulfillment. Clarity also acts as a compass. It filters your decisions. Every day you're faced with 1,000 little choices. Should I scroll for 10 more minutes or read a chapter of that book? Should I go out tonight or work on my side project? Without clarity, you default to comfort. But when your desire is sharp in your mind and your priorities are set, the answer becomes obvious. The clearer your why, the stronger your discipline. And clarity is not static. As you grow, evolve, and learn, your desires may shift. That's okay. What matters is that you continue checking in with yourself. Ask yourself, is this still what I want? And is this still worth what I'm giving up? Staying aligned with your true desires keeps you from drifting into a life you didn't consciously choose. It's easy to admire people who've achieved great things and think they had some unfair advantage. More time, more talent, better luck. But often, the real difference was clarity. They knew what they wanted and they were willing to do what it took. They said no to distractions, to short-term indulgences, and to paths that didn't serve their mission. That kind of focus isn't born, it's built. And it starts with asking the hard questions most people avoid. The reality is, you can have almost anything you want in life, just not everything at the same time. That's the truth most people don't want to hear. But when you're willing to choose, to focus, to commit, and to sacrifice, you unlock a level of power and purpose that most never touch. Clarity is the difference between motion and progress, between business and impact. It's what turns dreams into plans and plans into results. Without it, effort is scattered. With it, everything changes. People often wait for the perfect moment to start, when they feel ready, when they have more time, when the fear is gone, when the stars align. But the truth is that moment rarely comes. The world doesn't pause for you to get your confidence together. It keeps moving, and if you wait too long, opportunities pass, doors close, and momentum is lost before it even begins. Action doesn't follow readiness. Action creates readiness. It's a myth that you need to feel confident before you begin. Confidence is not the starting point. It's the result. The only way to build belief in yourself is through doing. You show yourself what you're capable of by taking a step, by showing up. Even when you're uncertain, the first time is almost never perfect. It's not supposed to be. The beginning is messy, awkward, and full of doubts. But it's also where growth begins. Every master started as a beginner. Every expert once took a shaky first step. Waiting to be ready is just another form of procrastination dressed up as caution. There is no perfect plan. There is only the plan you commit to. Most people are so afraid of getting it wrong that they never give themselves a chance to get it right. They overthink, overprepare, and overanalyze. But action always teaches more than theory. 1 hour of doing will give you more clarity than 10 hours of thinking. The feedback you get from experience is immediate, honest, and priceless. You can't learn how to swim by reading about it. You have to get in the water. Taking action also breaks the cycle of fear. Thrives in inaction. It feeds on hesitation and grows stronger in delay. But once you move even a little, fear begins to lose its grip. You realize it's not as big, not as overwhelming, not as paralyzing as it seemed in your mind. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward anyway. And once you move, momentum builds. What was once terrifying becomes familiar. What was once confusing starts to make sense. You don't need to know all the steps. You just need to take the first one. That first action may be small, but it changes everything. It shifts you from wishing to doing, from passive to proactive. And each small step leads to another. Momentum is a powerful force. It makes the next move easier, and the next one after that. But you only get to experience that momentum if you're willing to start before you're ready. Readiness is not a place you arrive at. It's a state you build, and it's built through action, repetition, and commitment. The more you do something, the more comfortable you become. The more you try, the more you learn, and the more you push through discomfort, the more you grow. People wait for confidence, but confidence is born from competence, and competence is built through doing. Every goal you want to achieve, better health, stronger finances, deeper relationships, meaningful work, starts the same way, with a decision followed by a step. It doesn't require certainty. It doesn't require perfection. It requires movement. Once you move, you can adjust, you can improve, you can pivot. But nothing can be adjusted if you never start. Many people talk themselves out of their own potential simply because they don't feel ready. They let fear disguise itself as preparation. They stay stuck in planning mode, hoping that one day they'll feel different. But that feeling doesn't come until you act. Readiness is on the other side of action, not the other way around. Every success story begins with someone who moved before they had it all figured out. That's the way forward. That's the way it's always been. In a world flooded with distractions, notifications, opinions, and constant noise, the ability to focus on what truly matters has become a rare and valuable skill. Most people are busy all the time, rushing, multitasking, crossing things off lists. But few stop to ask whether what they're doing actually matters. Activity is not the same as progress. Motion is not the same as meaning. You can be incredibly efficient at doing the wrong things. That's why focus, real intentional focus, is essential. Every day you're given the same 24 hours as everyone else. The difference isn't in the time, it's in the attention. What you give your attention to shapes your results, your growth, and ultimately your life. Yet many people spend their time managing distractions instead of managing priorities. They major in minor things. They obsess over the opinions of strangers, get caught up in drama that doesn't matter, and chase achievements that don't align with who they truly want to become. This kind of living leads to burnout, not fulfillment. Focusing on what truly matters means identifying what's most important to you, not just in the short term, but over the long haul. It requires self-awareness, clarity of values, and the willingness to say no to things that look urgent, but aren't truly important. You can. The most successful people aren't the ones doing the most. They're the ones doing the most important things. They've learned that every yes is also a no to something else, to someone else, or even to a future version of themselves. Focus requires trade-offs. You can't do everything, and you certainly can't do everything well. This is why goals alone are not enough. You need priorities. You need to ask yourself, what will actually move the needle? What work will have lasting impact? What relationships are worth investing in deeply? What activities, habits, or decisions bring you closer to your purpose? These are the questions that bring focus. Without them, your days become reactive instead of intentional. You bounce from one thing to the next, driven by whatever screams the loudest. Focusing on what matters also means resisting the trap of comparison. It's easy to lose sight of your own goals when you're constantly watching everyone else's. But just because something is important to someone else doesn't mean it should be important to you. Stay in your lane. Run your race. Success isn't about doing more than others. It's about doing more of what matters to you. What's meaningful, what's aligned, what brings peace, not just praise. And make no mistake, what matters is rarely easy. Important work is often boring, repetitive, and demanding. Building a business, raising a family, developing a skill, healing from past wounds. These things don't come with instant gratification. That's why distractions are so tempting. They offer a quick reward, a scroll, a click, a laugh. But none of that builds anything real. What matters takes time, it takes patience, and it takes the discipline to keep showing up even when the results aren't immediate. You don't need to do more. You need to do less, but better. You need to protect your time like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. You need to design your life, your environment, and your routines around your values. That may mean turning off notifications, stepping away from noise, or even walking away from relationships that constantly pull you off course. Focus is a form of power. And every time you reclaim your attention from what's trivial, you reinvest it into what's transformational. At the end of the day, what you focus on becomes your life, so focus wisely. Let go of the things that don't serve your growth. Cut the noise, ignore the distractions, and pour your time, energy, and heart into what truly matters, because that's where fulfillment lives, not in doing everything, but in doing the right things with clarity and purpose. No matter where you've been, what you've done, or what you've been through, the truth remains: you control the next chapter, not your past, not your circumstances, not what others think or expect of you. The pen is in your hands. Life is not a fixed script, it's a series of choices, and the power to make the next one belongs to you. Too many people live as though their past is a life sentence. They drag yesterday into today, and they let it define their identity. Maybe they made mistakes. Maybe they were hurt. Maybe they failed more times than they can count. But the past is not a predictor unless you let it be. Every day, you are presented with a new page, and what you write on that page is up to you. You can write pain, blame, regret, or you can write strength, redemption, and growth. The story can change the moment you decide it will. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become. And the becoming happens in the present. It doesn't wait for everything to be perfect. It begins now, with small decisions, with a shift in mindset, with the courage to try again. Taking control of the next chapter means releasing the excuses and owning your power. It means saying, I may not be where I want to be yet, but I'm not stuck unless I decide to stay where I am. That next chapter doesn't need to start with a dramatic transformation. It starts with intention. One honest conversation is you to walk away from what no longer serves you. One act of self-respect. 1 hour of focused effort. Change doesn't arrive all at once. It's written line by line, day by day, through consistency. And that consistency is built on belief. The belief that no matter what yesterday looked like, today is still yours to shape. The truth is, no one is coming to live your life for you. No one else can feel your purpose, fight your battles, or fulfill your potential. This is your story. And while you can't edit the chapters that are already written, you can learn from them. You can use them, even the dark parts, especially the dark parts. Some of the strongest chapters are born from the ones that nearly broke you. Pain is a powerful teacher if you're willing to listen and grow. Taking control of the next chapter also means taking responsibility, not for what happened, but for what happens next. Responsibility is not about blame. It's about ownership. It's saying, this is my life, and I won't let it be dictated by fear, doubt, or the limitations others have placed on me. That level of ownership is rare, but it's where freedom begins. Because when you fully accept that you are the author, you stop waiting and start writing. There will be obstacles. There will be setbacks. There will be days when you question whether you're capable of more. But each of those moments is a choice point. Do you go back, or do you move forward? Do you repeat the old story, or do you write a new one? No one said it would be easy, but nothing worth creating ever is. Growth requires effort. It demands courage. It means stepping into the unknown with nothing but belief and determination. Your next chapter doesn't need anyone's permission. It doesn't need approval, applause, or validation. It needs you. It needs your focus, your discipline, your decision to rise instead of retreat. And once you step into that role as the one in control, everything changes. You don't have to be defined by how the story started. You get to define how it continues. You get to choose what it means. And you get to shape what comes next.